Hello and welcome back to High Value Hustling with Aidan and James. My name is James.
My name is Aidan, and today we're going to be talking about how much of yourself do you own. Now, like our definition slash concept of what this episode is about, which is how much of yourself do you own, is like when you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh man, I can hit that snooze. Oh man, like I could go do this thing when I get off work, but like I'm okay. And it's like, oh, I really could go run an 8-minute mile, but I'm okay running a 10-minute mile. So in that concept, when you say that you can go do that thing, but you don't let yourself do that, you're not owning yourself. You're not pushing yourself to the fullest of that potential. James, would you like to share anything about that definition?
No, that's a perfect definition.
Yes.
I love it.
Right? It's like today, great example. Like we both were going to go to the gym this morning.
Correct.
And we were going to go hit legs.
Yes.
And like yesterday, I was already giving in. And James was like, no. He's like, frick all that. He said, we're going to go so hard till we can't walk. And okay, we both drive manual cars, okay?
Yes.
And so I'm always scared whenever I do a leg day with James that I can't drive back home because I need to get back home. And that clutch is not light, okay, man? I know like manual cars are very, very low in America, okay? Because, I mean, we live in America, obviously. But when you drive a stick on the way back home after a leg day, your leg is just shaking the whole entire time. And you're like, I'm going to stall. I'm going to break it. I'm going to get stuck. I'm like, dang. It's because I went to the gym with James. Anyway. So today I woke up with my alarm and James actually did not. He slept through his alarm, which is okay because
it's not, but
I mean, okay, you're right.
It's rare, but
how much of yourself do you own? It's not okay. It's not okay.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you control yourself, right? So with that though, like I was like, all right, I already know James. We've been going to the gym for a long time. And I was like, you know what? He's not going to wake up. So I was like, I'm just going to go to the gym by myself. But before I made that decision, I was sitting in my chair holding my pre-workout. And I called you before I started my pre-workout. Because whenever I wake up before you and you don't text me, I don't take the pre-workout before I call you. Because if you're awake, I'm like, sweet. If you're not awake, I'm like, I'm back in bed. But today was the turning point.
Yes.
Today was the turning point of that. And I owned myself. I was like, okay, he isn't awake. All right, I'm going to take this pre-workout. Okay, I'm going to go do that workout.
Yes.
And I ended up having a very, very successful 40-minute workout, which I really did feel like it was a great leg day. James would have other opinions because he doesn't want me to be able to drive my own car. But
yes.
Then James, what did you do?
Yeah. I loved so for the first time I think they're called farm. I mean, you guys correct me. Shoot highvaluehustling@gmail.com an email, correct us. We love getting that, getting feedback from our audience. But I think it's called Farmer Deads. I personally love farmer squats.
Farmer squats? Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
No, but it's a pole.
I mean, I would say it's a farmer squat. All right, it could be either.
They're
gonna tell us. Okay. They're gonna tell us.
I love deadlifts. I've done traditional, conventional deadlifts my whole life. Love them. Mm-hmm. But today I'm like, I want to grow my legs. Some people do deads on their leg day. I personally like doing it for back. But today I was doing. I'm like, it's like a hexagon kind of thing, and you pull from the sides of the bar. Mm-hmm. The bar is Anyways, so I pulled those and loved it. Did that for like 3 sets. Don't remember the weight, but
it was a great leg day.
Great, all around great. Calves destroyed.
You said you walked out barely being able to walk.
Dude, it was awesome.
You don't even push yourself to that level sometimes on leg day, and you wanted it that bad.
I wanted it really bad.
And like I didn't want it that bad, but I still got a really good workout that day. But also the thing too is how productive were you after you got out of the gym? Because I mean, honestly, how long were you there?
1 second. I got there at 6:15.
Okay.
Left at 8:05.
Wait, how'd you get there at 6:15?
No, what time did I wake up?
We got there at 7:15.
Sorry, 7:15.
Because even though his alarm went off at 5 and he missed it,
right about an
he
hour. Still
woke up because, like, if you are training yourself to wake up at 5, you still will wake up naturally. Like my sleep-in time, 6:40 a.m.
Yeah, I woke up at 6:37. I'm like, I just woke up naturally. I'm like,
yep,
time to get up.
Time to go do crap, man. Right? So, like, I was so much more productive. I listened to 4 hours of an audiobook. I deep cleaned my bathroom. I did my dishes, took out my trash, right? Wrapped my Christmas presents for this Christmas season, okay? And I did all that while listening to books, and I loved it. I was so productive today. I was excited to do this podcast and everything. So what did you do today after the gym?
And this is Aidan is a single man living at home. So like if you're thinking, oh, his mom made him do that. No, this man's doing this because
I clean my own shower.
He's productive. He's awesome. So Yeah, my day was very productive. I mean, I went straight from the gym, showered, went to school. When school came here, did
Very
homework.
productive.
Yes,
But
very
would you
productive.
have been that productive if you would have not owned yourself when you realized
If
that
I
you
would have
missed that
slept
alarm?
in, no,
Yes. So
I doubt it.
so you woke up and you're like, oh frick, I gotta go. You owned yourself. You chose to own
Yes.
yourself in that moment. I chose to own myself when I called you and realized that you didn't pick up. I literally sat there looking at the bottle. I was like, do I want to do this or do I want to go back to bed? And I was like, no, I need to do this. I need
Yes.
to do this. And I chose that for myself. So in that example of like sleep, let's say like this morning specifically, like James, like you had a long battle with
Yes.
like being able to wake up consistently
Yes.
and breaking the alarm system. So like what's tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So my if someone were to ask me what's the thing you would want to change from you when you were younger, and I would 100% say my relationship with my alarm clock. And like for a lot of people, that's probably not going to be the number one thing, but for me, it is because the alarm clock starts the day for you. It starts everything. Like when you complete the first thing in the morning, it starts your whole day. So that's the alarm clock for me. Ever since I was young, whenever the alarm would go off, I train my mind. This is from like elementary days. I train my mind to shut off the alarm, be like, it doesn't matter. It's just an annoyance. Instead of saying this is a tool to get me up, I'm saying it's an annoyance that needs to be shut off.
Mm.
And so I'd always rely on my mom to get me up. And then eventually, when my mom said I'm stopped doing that, I would just face the consequences of being late, which is wrecks your reputation, wrecks the day. You feel bad. So
not even from a school standpoint.
It's just everything.
Gym,
work,
social,
everything.
Work, right? Because some days you open, some days you don't.
Absolutely.
And so, like from an elementary, that's what's that called when you're young? You're very it's very impactful at that age, right? Your behaviors.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like from my young age, like I had an alarm clock. I had a personal alarm clock. My brother had an alarm clock. We shared the same nightstand. All right, because we were in the same bedroom.
Yeah.
And like my alarm was booty, dude. It did not wake me up. So whenever I knew I had to wake up somewhere early, I'd tell my brother, "Hey, set your alarm for this time because I need to wake up." He's like, "Why are you using my alarm?" Because I was like, "Yours wakes me up." And I think I was probably 7. From 7, I was teaching myself, I already know what this noise is. This noise scares me. I need to wake up. When I hear this noise, I need to get moving because I've already calculated how much time I need to go.
Yes.
Right? So it was a struggle for you, James, right?
Yes.
And inside of that, what are some things that you took away about getting yourself there? Like setting yourself up for success, right? What's your experience with that? Like, if you could tell yourself something now, I guess 2 years ago that you learned now about the battle with your alarm clock, what would that be?
The best thing that I've just been super recent, like within the last 2 months, over the past like 2 years, that's when I first started to take action on this by not going to bed early, but start waking up early on purpose. And so then the second step was going to bed early. Then the second step was then the next step was, what kind of alarm am I going to use? Then the next step was convincing my mind, correlating it with get up instead of turn it off. But what I would tell myself if I was 2 years ago is to say, set one alarm and that's it. Because the thing is, like people are like, I need a backup alarm. It tells my mind, consciously or subconsciously,
there's already a way out.
If there's already a way out, you can turn it off and you still have a backup. Like no matter what. And so when I have one alarm, my body's like, if you don't get up, like you're screwed. And then my body's like today I woke up at 4. Wesley kind of woke me up too, but like I woke up, I'm like,
oh, that's his dog.
That's my dog. English bulldog, super cute, very fat, but lovable. Yeah, but
that man snores.
So I would tell myself, set one alarm, and then if the first week is the roughest and you get natural consequences because of it by being late, then okay. But one alarm is the way to go. So that's what I'd say. And by doing this, the amount of like success you feel when you get up and you put your clothes on and you're like, I got up and it's 5 a.m.
You had breakfast. You read your Bible.
It's amazing.
You take your pre-workout. You
get out of the way to the gym. You're just telling your body.
You listen to some music.
You're just
you own your body.
You know what your body's telling you when you get up? You're just like, it's tired. You don't need to work out. You worked out the last 2 days. It's telling you every single lie that you ever wanted to hear, and it sounds amazing. It's like warmness, comfy, sleep.
Especially your bed, right?
Everything. So the past couple months, I've been sleeping on the floor. I'm in my sleeping bag on the floor.
Yes.
And so I just toss my sleeping bag in the closet. And I'm like, I don't even have to make my bed.
Remember when you were staying at my house one day and you were like, bro, your bed is so comfy. How do you get out of this? And I was like, really? I was like, I like my bed because when I get in my bed, I don't want to feel the pain in my body after a long day. But when I wake up, I hear that alarm, boop, time to go, boop. And what I do for myself too, because I mean, I have always been a one alarm person. And so something I like to use to like measure people too is like, okay, like if I meet in a person sometime, I'm like, oh, maybe this guy is a hustler, right? Maybe he's got this mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let me check this out. This guy in the drive-thru, whatever, or this guy I see at the gym. I'm like, hey, how many alarms do you set to wake up? And they're
asked
like,
that before?
oh, I've had that with people, yeah.
Nice.
And they're like, oh, I use 3 to 7, you know. And I'm like, dear God, man. I'm like, you don't control yourself. You don't own yourself. Another thing I like to do too is I like to ask people how many emails are in your email. And they're like, oh, like this many thousand or like 100,000. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. Because you know how many I got in mine? I got 2. And one is for a coffee subscription, and one is for a trip to Puerto Rico for a missions trip. And I'm like, I can't delete those emails until those things have arrived. And
Dude,
then
yes.
I will delete those emails and I'll have 0. But something else I want to add too inside of this is like, so with the sleep, you like, what did you do? You slept on the floor, right?
Did everything.
You had a shock watch, right?
I remember that.
I remember that was a thing. It was a thing, you know. It was helpful, right? Or not? Was that a regret, or was it a learnable opportunity? Like last time, you said it didn't hurt me, right? I
learned a lot from it.
Scheduling every hour didn't hurt you in your schedule.
Learned a lot.
Learned a lot. Okay.
I even had a sonic bomb alarm clock. That little side tangent. Took it on a trip to the airport. They inspected it because it said sonic bomb right on it.
Dear God, man, why'd you do this?
I don't know. So I can get up at the retreat. And then guess what? It went off and I didn't get up.
My gosh. Because is it really loud?
That's what I use now to get up.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
It's called the sonic bomb. It goes up to a certain frequency.
Uh-huh.
And also comes with a plug-in like bed shaker thing. It's just a small one, so it goes under your pillow.
Okay. Does it shake your pillow a lot or not really?
It does, but since I move around all the time, I've like knocked it over and unplugged the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't use it. I just use it as a normal alarm clock.
Oh, okay, got you.
I even turned down the settings so it's like normal loudness because I'm like, I want to learn.
Yes.
I want to alarm.
Yes.
Get up. I don't need an extreme thing for me.
Because I mean, like something about like relationships, right? Even inside that, like friendships, or if you were to pursue a relationship with somebody, if they know you have options and you don't really care about being there, you're just like, oh, this person is giving me time, right? Like, let's say you're going on a date with a girl or going out with a guy or whatever. Like, if you're like, oh yeah, I want to go do this thing, and it's like, okay, sweet. If they're the back door, or you have a back door to try and protect yourself, right? You're not owning yourself and your fears and that emotions in that time, right? And if you have a back door, people will respect you less.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So you don't want that, and like your alarm system or something else that we didn't plan about this podcast is even in owning yourself. Like a very extreme version of owning myself was when I lost a lot of weight going to the gym, and all I did was change my calorie intake. Because James, what did you called me one night, and what did you tell me? Remember that in January? You called me in January.
You told me.
And you were like, hey. You're like, I think you could lose some weight. And I was like, well, I'm happy with weight.
Did I actually tell you that?
Yes.
That's crazy.
You're like, you did.
I don't even remember that.
And I mean, because it's something I've talked about before, but I was like, I'm satisfied with what I am. I was 225 pounds, about 6 foot. And you couldn't really see any definition of muscle on me at all, right? I mean,
that's accurate. I
can move more weight now than I did then, but I look way better, dude. Like when I get out of the shower and I see myself in the mirror, I'm like, that is awesome.
He has a chiseled jaw. It's amazing.
You better jaw. Anyways, all right. Anyways, moving on. So when James challenged me to do that thing, I was like, nah. Because like, so James and I, like, we're both very passive when it comes to independent, right? Yes. Independency inside of these things. But when he was like, you know what? I challenge you to lose 2 pounds a month. And that was him slapping me in the face, which then righted my view. And I was like, all right, I'm going to own myself. How easy it is to lose 2 pounds a month. I was like, dude, I just get like 1, maybe 2 dinners a night, eat some popcorn, water, go to bed. I was like, dude, I can lose 2 pounds easy. And then I researched it. Caloric intake, carbs, proteins, eating, what you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating, the rotations, the time between exercise, yada, yada, the amount of calories you should be having. And I actually ended up losing 10 pounds a month for 4 months.
10 pounds a month.
Yes. All crazy. Because he was like, I bet you can't lose 2, and I was like, I'll bet I can do that, And so that was a side tangent. But something like, did you want to add anything else about the sleep or not really?
That pretty much hits it. It may add something real quick. Yeah. The one alarm thing is like with having no backup plans, it's saying it truly just defines am I going to own myself or not? Because if you miss that, then it's all screwed.
Do you think it's important to, if you only have one alarm, so it shouldn't be your absolute last minute, but it shouldn't be your absolute first minute? You know what I mean? Like, do you think that it should wake you up in the time where you're like, all right, I have to start moving and start being productive? Or do you think it should be closer or further away?
My experience personally, since I'm a planner, I love telling myself, you're going to want an hour in the morning to get ready for the gym that's 5 minutes away. Which what happens is in the morning, it's like a different person wakes up and it's like, you have an hour, you idiot, go back to bed. And I've done this my whole life. And so
it's a different person that wakes up in the same bed.
It really is. And so now when I wake up, I meet you at the gym at 6. You're like, you look tired. Yeah. It's like, because I can get up when the one alarm goes off. It's like 5:35. I'm like, get up, pop some, whatever it is. Like,
why you wake up at 5:35?
It changes.
Okay.
But
it depends on when you go to bed. Like if you go to bed
correct.
at midnight, 5:35. If you go to bed at 10,
I like 5:10. I love 5:10.
Okay.
That's been working this week for me well. Besides today.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. It's
just because I'm a little different. When I wake up at 5, first 15 minutes is my phone keeping me awake and going through notifications.
And I will fall asleep like that.
Second 15 minutes is doing my Bible study and getting out of my bed. Right. Yes. Third 15 minutes, oatmeal, pre-workout, call James. Fourth set of 15 minutes, I'm on the way to the gym and I show up at the gym at 5:57.
It sounds like you're the planner in this relationship.
I am the planner, dude, but I also pretend like I'm not. You know what I mean?
No, we're not gay.
No, we're not. No, we're really good bros.
Yes, we're very good bros.
All right. So okay, moving on to the next idea of this is so we just talked about sleep, right? Owning yourself, a little bit of like calorie stuff and diet, because that's very difficult, but it's also very helpful. So, but we'll go into greater detail about that stuff in later episodes.
Yes.
Something that I really want to talk about though is the dopamine. Okay, dopamine is a brain chemical that gets you. It's sort of like addicted, right? Like dopamine, makes sense or whatever, But like most people pursue dopamine, but you need to make dopamine the pursuit. And the thing I mean behind this is, okay, great example. Last week, I just started listening to a new book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Incredible. I learned so much about it.
Yeah.
It was really good. And I loved it. The first 2 days, I listened to 2 hours of the audiobook a piece, right? Because part of my pursuing healthy growth right now, based off our first episode, is I'm not working an extra 2 hours every day to get more overtime. I'm picking up 5 hours on my day off, actually, to offset that. But okay, I'm like, okay, sweet. I got 2 hours a day that I used to spend at work. What can I do with that? And I'm like, oh, sweet. I can listen to an audiobook for 2 hours a day. And I'm like, okay, sweet. What is that? Pursuing healthy growth, right? That's me growing myself. I don't get that from my job. I don't get that from my people I'm around with. I have to teach myself something if I want to learn something, right? Don't be expected for it to be handed to you. So that book, bro, it was scratching the itch. It was everything I wanted. It was making me so happy, all the things I was learning. I was like, I haven't learned this much stuff in forever. And then the second day, I'd already listened to my 2 hours of the book and I was at work. And one of our coworkers was like, hey, did you hear about this new gun that dropped in Call of Duty? You have to go kill a guy in the map, and then you exfil the game. You leave the game with his gun, and you get to keep it. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, oh, bet. Okay. So I got off work, and I was like, I'm going to try this. And then I tried one game, and I was like, oh, frick. And I was like, I want this gun. It's not because I was going to play with it.
Yeah.
It's not because I actually cared that I had it.
Yeah.
But I found, so the book gave me dopamine by reading it. I was excited by the pursuit, right? And so, but I found dopamine in the pursuit, not through me finishing the book. But when I got to the gun part of like the Call of Duty, I was like, oh my gosh, I really want this. And I didn't listen to the book at all because it absorbed all of my pursuit, like desire. So, but I was like, okay, I got to get this gun. Once I get this gun, I can go back to the book. It took me 4 days. That's besides the point. But when I ended up getting the gun, instantly went back to the book until I finished it. When I read 3 hours of it straight, and I think Sunday I listened to 2 hours of it as well. So I finished the last 5 hours, but that's because my desire for the pursuit of the Call of Duty was then offset because it was done. I didn't care that I got it. I was like, woo, I got it. Okay, now I can go do this. Now, when I finished that first book, I was like, woo, I finished that book. Okay, what is my next book I'm going to listen to? And then it's just going to be continual, right? The chain, typically, this is very common that people are talking about right now, is that people find dopamine from the peak desire. Oh, sorry, the peak. Like what's that called when you grab it when you finally get it?
Pleasure.
Nah, not a pleasure. No, like when you finally not acknowledge. Man, I really forget the
Achievement.
word. Yes, the achievement. Perfect word. It's like when somebody finally achieves their goal, right? They're like, "Oh, sweet, I'm good. Let me relax. Let me go do this thing." And I'm like, "Nah, dude, I've just finished that. Oh, okay, I can do this other thing." You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
That is really good stuff.
Very It's very similar to like work too. It's like when people finish work, they're like, I finished my work for the day. I'm done. I can just do nothing.
Mm,
I mean, I know it takes a mindset. It takes a process to rewire your brain to be like,
mhm,
no, there's so much time left.
mhm.
But that's how we're very different from people at work too.
Yeah, it's more of a momentum base. Like when I get off work, I might be booty tired at work. The moment I clock out, walk out that door, get fresh air, and I'm walking in a light filled environment that I'm not used to inside of the same restaurant, then I'm like, oh, I have so much energy. But 5 seconds ago, I was so tired. And it's
Yeah.
like when you get home, right? When you get home after work or whatever, or a late night hanging out with your friends or watching a movie, you're like, I'm so tired. And then the moment you walk up and unlock your door and walk in your house, you're like, thump, I'm very awake now. Does that happen to you?
I think that's from person to person. It depends
Okay.
on how extreme the environment change is.
Mhm.
But I think people can relate to that. Yes.
Okay. Because when I go home after a long day, I actually feel more energy. Because as my situation changes, I'm a momentum guy. The more
Yes.
momentum I get, the
Get you.
faster I go.
For
I
sure.
love it.
For sure.
So, do you have anything you want to add to though about like dopamine and that pursuit, or
I just want to. It just kept reminding me of last week's podcast of building the ultimate weapon is the pursuit of healthy growth,
oh, very
and
similar.
like pursuit of dopamine. I mean, dopamine is the pursuit of something.
Dopamine is the pursuit.
Pursuit of growth is building the
Yes.
ultimate weapon. It just all went together to me.
Mm.
And I was just like, that's cool.
It is cool. I like the way I put that at the very beginning.
Looked
And
really
then,
good, yeah.
so James, what did you want to share next with that?
Yes, I want to talk about the cold shower theory. Okay,
Ooh,
cold
these
shower
scare me.
theory. I've found to love taking cold showers. In my house, my dad has the temperature gauge. Like the lowest it will go is very hot.
Wait, you have a digital temperature gauge?
Not digital, but
Oh.
I'm pretty sure you can adjust it in the basement, right?
Oh,
Like of
I
the
think you're talking about in the bathroom, like in the shower.
no,
Oh,
like the lowest hottest temp
uh-huh.
is set higher than the average household, most likely.
Oh, so your water just runs warmer than other houses.
Well, I think like for any house, it takes
Okay.
at least 5, 10, sometimes 30 seconds, depending on the day,
Mhm.
for it to go from freezing cold to like that warm temperature that's already in that stored
Okay. Yeah.
tub. So, what I started to do is I'm like, the cold showers. I mean, I just heard this. You just get it from wherever you hear it. It's like, oh, cold shower is good for working out.
I mean,
I want to try it.
David Goggins.
It's for
something
your
like that.
helps your mind too. Okay. First time I did it, freezing cold. Kind of liked
I
it.
remember that.
Kind of liked it, but
You told me about it.
it was freezing cold. But I'm like, am I going to just be like, oh, since it's not that hard to just simply just take a warm shower, am I just going to tap out? And I'm someone. This reminds me real quick of Krav. I took Krav for three months last summer, and
What was your goal with taking Krav?
Just getting experience from it, just learning,
Mhm.
not mastering anything.
Yes, like elevating your horizon.
Correct. And when I took it, we're doing this hold position, and I wouldn't tap because I'm like, I'd rather just pass out than tap.
Dang, that's owning yourself right there,
And
bro.
and like your face was like red. And I did it with a different buddy of mine, and he was like choking me a lot. Okay. And
The guy is bigger than you too.
the-
He's like 6'5",
Correct.
270 pounds or something.
And the instructor guy comes over. He's like, hey, like you can't, like, I know you might think it's funny. I didn't think it was funny, but he was
Oh.
just saying you might think it's funny, but actually tap. He's like, it's a respect thing here, but like you're like disrespecting your opponent by like passing out. He's like, you need to like tap.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I got that later because we were doing our bar stuff, and I'm glad I learned that earlier with the choking because I don't want to snap my arm just because I'm being arrogant and being like, oh, I can take it. No,
Mhm.
this is practice.
Mhm.
You want to be like, I can take it in a
This
fight.
ain't the real world. Yeah.
So going back to cold showers, I'm like, I forget how I got on that tangent. How did I get on that?
You were talking about the learning new things from Krav, right? And
Oh, I wouldn't tap. Same thing with the shower thing. I
Mhm.
didn't want to stop. I'm like, I haven't overcome this yet. Just like my alarm. It's been 2 years of me continuously being, how can I refine this? How can I be better? Because when I'm married, I don't want my wife to be the first person to say, you suck in the mornings. I hate you. And I'm like,
you're a different person when you get out of bed.
yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to be the same. I want to be the best man I can be in all areas of life. And if that means right now struggling to get better with my alarm and struggling to get, I mean, cold showers probably won't be a challenge in the future, but I think it's still like a small win that says, hey, I've overcome something that I don't have to. And it's saying my body, no, yeah, you're cold. Shut up.
Mhm.
Endure this.
Mhm.
You can do this.
Myself personally, like I don't take cold showers, but if I like that's something I want to start doing, but later because like it's cold right now. My house is cold. I never turn my heat on in my house. I'm like, okay, in the summer, I love taking cold
It's one of your few
showers.
pleasures is a warm shower.
Yes, yes. It's one of my rewards, right? Never part of dopamine, right? And owning yourself, never let yourself get free dopamine, right? It's like when I went,
Jocko Willink.
yes, that was such a good link that you sent me, and I watched that clip, and he said, don't let any dopamine be free. So like that piece of chocolate in the morning, is that really free? Give yourself 5 push-ups, right? Oh, you want to go eat a donut? Run a mile first. Don't let that dopamine be free. That hot shower, I don't get that hot shower until James murdered me at the gym. Okay. Then I get the hot shower. I get the hot shower after a long day at work. That's my relaxation part.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add before we close, James?
Nope. I've loved this episode. I think I've said what I need to say.
Definitely. I do feel like we definitely had a lot more we wanted to say, but this is one of our first 5 episodes that we want to try and put out there. And I can't wait in our future to just go down a lot more detail of these individual things we brought today. Let us know. What was the email again?
highvaluehustling@gmail.com.
If you guys have any feedback or opinions about our longevity or our of the conversation, with our podcast, or if you feel like we're moving too fast or whatever works for you guys. But we're going to close here. Thank you guys very much for listening to us.